you're going to be okay?
I'm 63 years old. I'm likely to skate my way to the grave. But I have 3 young children who are all engineers, and I worry about their ability to work in American manufacturing down the road.
I think that the water's going to get hotter and hotter, and if there's no event to wake people up, I think China can just own more and more and more and more of our debt, and everything's fine until that magical moment when it's not, and all the sorries in the world aren't going to make that any different.
The film you're about to see addresses one of the most urgent problems facing America. Its increasingly destructive trade relationship with a rapidly rising China. As you watch this film, it is important to always distinguish clearly between the good and hard-working people of China and their repressive communist government, now victimizing both American and Chinese citizens alike.
I'm here to buy me a big screen TV. My first big screen, man. 40 inch, about $265.
Where's that product made?
Probably in China.
China.
This is made in China.
Do you know where that bike was made?
No, but I know it's healthy.
Where were these products made, do you know?
Probably from China, where else, everything else made.
Oh, made in America.
Well, American is better.
So is this American?
I'm not sure if it is American, but hopefully it is.
Yeah, I think I got a great deal. Can't beat $300 for a 46-inch TV.
Tell you the truth, I didn't even come here exactly for this, but I seen it and couldn't pass up the deal, man. For, $200, you can't really, beat that. So they told me it was $200, and now it's in my cart now,
Did you see where it was made?
Oh yeah, it was made in China. Hey, I'm fine with it, If the American people can't provide me with what I need, I gotta get it from China. Hey, it is what it is, I'm just being truthful, Don't hate me.
So how do you feel when Americans buy Chinese products?
I feel really bad because what happened is not just America buying a Chinese product, which is American people losing their jobs.
I was laid off 3 times within 6 months until I was permanently laid off.
I graduated with my bachelor's in 2004. I've been out trying to use that, of course, because I spent a lot of money going to school, and I haven't been able to find anything.
China, I think, is responsible for, wiping out a good deal of the manufacturing that we have or had in Northeast Ohio. And I think that is continuing as they continue to manipulate their currency, as they continue to not have the level of workplace safety or environmental or health standards that we have here in the United States.
So we've seen our whole manufacturing base uproot and replant in a place where you can commit crimes against workers and just go out to dinner that night.
So when a large company decides to move its production offshore and it closes a factory in a city or a town in the United States, that basically it's like a black hole. Suddenly that factory just disappears and everything else goes down with it.
Jobs disappeared, and the way the economy is going right now, it's tough to find a job. I just recently finished graduate school, and you know, even coming out with that, it's still hard to find one.
Some of the workers at companies, literally their last act at the factory was to unbolt the machine and load it up to be shipped off to China.
I even talked to a fellow down there. They wanted to send him over to China to teach the people how to run the machines that they were shipping over there. He was 63 years old. He said, I only got 2 more years to go and I can retire, so I'm not going to bother doing it. He said, bad enough they took my job, now they want me to show them how to do it too.
People who were supplying that plant with materials, equipment, maintenance services, even the accounting firms, design firms, R&D firms, and then all the other services around it like restaurants, what happens to them? They're doomed. They go down with it. They can't follow that company offshore to Shanghai.
It's difficult to be unemployed because you have a mortgage and you have your regular bills you have to pay. You have to pay for a car and you have to put food on the table. And when you have just a small amount of money from the state coming in, sometimes it's hard to make it.
I'm trying to get food. Like, that's what I'm here for. I mean, this is not just unemployment line. This is for people who are hungry, and I'm hungry.
And it just really is unfair that, you know, being in a country as great as the United States, to have our people struggling the way they are, to not find what is just common. You work, that's what you do. And for them not to find that month after month after month, it just doesn't make sense to me yet.
I don't know if it's the president, I don't know if it's the... Honestly, I don't know who to point the blame to.
If we talk about who's to blame, I think partially our own government.
Our government should be doing something.
They could have stepped in, I think, a long time ago.
Please hear us and please understand that companies like this are special. Small companies are what makes America. And unless somebody does something about unrestricted importing, you're going to lose the rest of us, too.
Never had a really big and hostile country come into our markets. And most of the international competition that we have faced from Japan, from Germany, from the rest of Europe has come without a sense that behind it was a government that has sought confrontations with the United States on a regular basis.
The WTO, it's not based here. I mean, who in the United States is on the WTO? Does anybody know?
In 2001, China joined the WTO, the World Trade Organization, with the strong support of a Democratic president and a Republican-controlled Congress. Before the ink was dry on this free trade agreement, China began flooding American markets with its illegally subsidized and very dangerous exports, while the big multinational companies that had lobbied heavily for the agreement rapidly accelerated the offshoring of American factories and American jobs to China. Today, as a result of the biggest political shell game in American economic history, China has stolen thousands of our factories and millions of our jobs. Multinational corporation profits are soaring, and we now owe over $3 trillion to the world's largest communist nation. This was not how it was supposed to turn out.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
When William Jefferson Clinton was selling China's entry into the World Trade Organization to the American people.
If you believe in a future of greater openness and freedom for the people of China,
you ought to be for this agreement. If you believe in a future of greater prosperity for the American people, you certainly should be for this agreement. If you believe in a future of peace and security for Asia and the world, you should be for this agreement. This is the right thing to do. It's an historic opportunity and a profound American responsibility.
In pushing for China's entry into the WTO, President Clinton embraced a doctrine dating back to President Richard Nixon, known in Washington circles as the policy of engagement.
Peking, historic site for an unprecedented meeting between East and West. President and Mrs. Nixon arrive, and Premier Zhou Enlai is on hand to extend an official welcome to the presidential couple. It's Mr. Nixon's initial move toward his self-proclaimed goal, a generation of peace.
Here, President Clinton offers his own vision of the goal of engaging China.
I don't believe it's right to crack down on people for their religious views or their political expression or because they want to be in an association like the Falun Gong. I don't think that's right. But I don't believe that we will have more influence on China by giving them the back of our hand.
In masterfully arguing for China's entry into the World Trade Organization, President Clinton promised the brightest of futures for both American workers and American manufacturers.
Economically, this agreement is the equivalent of a one-way street. It requires China to open its markets with a fifth of the world's population, potentially the biggest markets in the world. For the first time, China will agree to play by the same open trading rules we do. Never happened before. For the first time, our companies will be able to sell and distribute products in China made by workers here in America.
And by economically engaging China, both Democrats and Republicans argued this would ultimately democratize the Chinese dragon and free the Chinese people.
We have waged an intense battle in support of an important principle, and that is freedom. And the people of China and the citizens of the United States will benefit enormously.
After the victory vote, the Republican House Majority leaders would celebrate the bipartisan victory with the cracking open of a ceremonial fortune cookie.
Not very good at these things. It's got a lottery number, no. It says, new American proverb, new prosperity awaits you because normal trade relations. Yeah! It's a confrontation of worldviews that we will win, and I'm looking forward to the future.
So just what has America's future looked like since China joined the World Trade Organization in 2001?
We are in a trade war, and stealing, lying, and cheating on the part of the Chinese is all part of it.
Free trade's great stuff if you can get it. What we have with China is not free trade.
For China to sell something at 1/10 of the price of what it would cost in the United States to produce, they are cheating monumentally in a major, massive sort of way on everything.
When China joined the World Trade Organization in 2001, it promised to stop cheating and play by fair trade rules. That meant abandoning unfair trade practices like currency manipulation, illegal export subsidies, and abusing its workers. Instead, the Chinese government has used these weapons of job destruction to launch a sustained and devastating attack on America's factories and jobs, while flooding our markets with dangerous products.